Okay, is it going?
Yeah. Good morning, guys. We're at the Blenheim and the WAIHOPAI protest on Deadline TV, Vidgen. We've come out here today to be a little bit of a troublemaker because we've got a great little protest group there made up of very much a large green contingent. They've been telling a couple of things today at this protest which aren't kind of completely correct. One is that they keep repeating the same narrative that this little big ball over me is just here as a listening device, when in actual fact, as I pointed actually out, if you go and actually look online about what the protests in the United Kingdom are saying about the sister station men withheld, if you go online you look at what the protests in Australia say about T.I.G.E.R, they say the same situation, which these sister stations are basically part of the missile defence targeting system. So if that's the conclusion from two different activist groups overseas, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be the case here. In fact, it's quite interesting today because one of the things I challenged on was that this is actually used for direction of drones. Very, very strange, because 2 years ago one of our guest speakers actually did point out this was used for drones, and we even got a picture up here of basically on the cartoons over there of drones being used. So again, first thing we need to correct is this is not just a listening station, it is part of a global targeting network system. The second issue that I have a problem with, both the Greens were here and the Unions were here, which were basically representing Labour, you know, the usual situation with the TPA where they say, listen to us, vote for us, we'll change it. As soon as they get in power, they actually do the bloody opposite. But you know, they're here today, they're talking just about WAIHOPAI. You know, in the last year, I haven't heard the Greens talk about, these are some of the things that are happening in our backyard as we speak. One, the Mahi Rocket Lab facility up there in the way up the top of the North Island. 2 days from now they're going to be launching satellites for the Department of Defence, the United States Department of Defence. It's funded by the US Navy. It's actually funded also original finances with Faye Richwhite Investments. Go again and have a look on board, find out what a bunch of swell guys Faye Richwhite Investments are. So they don't talk about this massive, I mean it's a huge, basically it's effectively a rocket launch facility. So at the moment it's been satellites, but tomorrow it could be next generation IBCMs, which is another storyline which I've talked about previously on Deadline TV. They don't talk about the fact that here we have at Blenheim, you've got Safe Air. This is not only a contractor to Air New Zealand for the civilian work, it also does contract work for the US, Israel and New Zealand, engaging in basically avionics. They don't talk about the history of this area, which back in basically 1970s you had investigators like Owen Wilkes, who was kind of like the Nicky Hager of his area. He was breaking into places all around the South Island, and he found that basically at Woodburn you had the Long Bank research project. Again, go online, because I'm not telling you anything that's not actually available in the public source information. Although I will say that if you go and actually get Owen Wilkes' book called Protest, which is 1973, you'll actually make a reference to Project Longbank being tied up with geo-warfare, so draw your own conclusions on that. But they also turn around, they don't talk about all the massive of defence funding that's actually been done for our university. Again, that's where Protest is a very good book, because it showed how the Americans were actually continuously carrying out atmospheric-based research in New Zealand from the 1960s, the 1970s, up to the current day, and that was all basically about controlling the electromagnetic spectrum and using basically our atmosphere as a weapon itself. And on that basis, the Green Party, they don't talk about the HOP 1 experiments, they don't talk about the HOP 2 experiments. These are Canterbury University experiments that were part of what they call HARP. You all go know what HARP basically actually is. You don't even need to go down the whole earthquake sort of malarkey for that. HARP, the reality is that even the US Navy admit that it's used for the missile defence system. So these are stuff that's very much solidly documented, and yet our Green Party don't talk about it. They don't talk about the $20 billion that was spent under the John Keyes administration, which has still been spent under the Labour administration. I mean, it's as Helen Kelly, the late Helen Kelly, turned around and said, when it came to the mass surveillance bill, the Green Party did nothing but provide a basic lip service. There are people in the Green Party that are actually aware of the situation, but unfortunately there's too many of the people at the top controlling the agenda, controlling the narrative, so you don't get to hear the full spectrum of the issue. This is Ben Vidgen from Deadline TV. Thank you very much, live from WAIHOPAI.